So first is how to become hireable. So let's cover that now. And I want to address first, in terms of, making yourself as hireable as possible for these big firms in London. First, let's address some misconceptions. It is commonly believed, and you'll have heard these, and you're probably thinking them already, that to land a job as a trainee at a large firm in London, you must have superb A-level results. I might as well say right now, I did not. I had an A, a B, and 2 Cs, which, whilst decent enough A-level results, they're not spectacular, and the minimum requirement for Allen Overy when I applied was 2 A's and a B, so I obviously didn't meet those requirements, but I still got a training contract. The other one here is you must have attended a prestigious university for your degree. That's not necessarily true either. I mean, I went to the University of Kent, which was a top 25, I think it was, top 25 university, but it's not one of these prestigious ones that we all hear about. So again, that's a misconception. You must be incredibly clever and show it at all times. That's just sort of a generalization, but the truth is, when it comes to showing your intelligence, you can do that in an application form, and in an interview you can be cool, calm and collected to show your intelligence, but you have to show personality, and if that means making fun of yourself, then do it. I give a good example where a friend of mine who got the job at A&O in the Allen Overy interview was sat there waiting for the interviewer to come in who was late. He came in, he had so many folders and books in his arms that he couldn't actually hold out his hand to shake her hand, but yet she still held out her hand anyway, and then realizing that he couldn't shake back, she reached for his pinky finger and shook that instead. So, she was mortified, and when she sat down she thought, there's no way I'm getting this interview, but she made a joke I'm getting this job, but she made a joke out of it, and in the end, despite not appearing the cleverest person in the room at the time, she still got offered the training contract. So be yourself at all times. And then lastly, it's easier to get a job at a medium-sized firm than at a large firm. That's a misconception as well, because medium-sized firms have only 10 to 15 trainees in an intake per year, whereas a large firm can have up to 100. And because the larger firm has up to 100, they are much more likely to try and hire a broad range of people. And therefore, a broad range of people means a broad range of backgrounds, a broad range of skills, a broader range of interests, and that will mean, because they've got a broader range of clients usually as well, that they are much more likely to hire a vast array of trainees. So you've actually got a better chance if you apply for a larger firm than you do at a medium-sized firm, who can, in my experience, be rather more structured in the kind of person they look for. So the next slide is dealing with what you do need to show on the application. So we've dealt with some misconceptions, but there are 3 things I want to explain that you do need to show on an application form. And this is based on my own success, I suppose, but also because I assisted the HR department at Allen Overy in recruiting graduates on several occasions. I know what they're looking for. Okay, so the first one is self-evident in a way. Despite what I said on the last slide about my grades, you still need high recent academic achievement. So recent academic achievement is key. If your grades in the past have not been spectacular, that is not anything to worry about, because these large firms, they will read everything you write to them. So on an application form, if you're given an opportunity to explain away any bad results that you've had in your past, and for instance Allen Overy's application form has that, as does Slaughter's, then you need to be able to take it, and you need to be able to explain why you had poor results in the past, and say that if you look at my performance most recently, I have overcome those problems I had earlier, and I now have a very high academic standard. What I said on my application was that I was doing a lot of sports at the time. I was playing a lot of golf, like I was mentioning before. In fact, I had some English Golf Union scholarships while I was at uni. So just before that, when I was doing A-levels, I was playing a lot of golf, and I didn't study as hard as I should have done. And I put that down on my application as being young and not knowing how to manage my time properly. So because I explained that I wasn't able to manage my time properly as an 18-year-old, when I got bad results, I looked at that and said, well, I need to address my time management skills. So I went out, addressed my time management skills, and look at my most recent grades at the degree level. They're high 2-1s or firsts. So I was able to point to recently high academic achievement, which made up for much older academic underachievement. And that's what you've got to do. If you guys are right now working towards exams, which you will be, make sure that you put in the work, because your most recent results are the most important, because no matter what, then they'll look at you as growing with your sort of understanding of what's required of you. So the second thing, other than recent academic achievement, is some previous legal work experience, which you need to have. And previous legal work experience is absolutely integral. One of the questions that I know is going to be asked is, how much work experience do I need? Do I need to have work experience on my application? You absolutely must, because one of the questions on your application form is going to ask you why corporate law, or why environmental law, or why entertainment law, or whatever law it's going to be. But these larger firms normally focus on corporate law, so the question is going to be why corporate law? And in order to answer that properly, you need to be able to say, I did some work experience at a family law firm, I did some work experience at an entertainment law firm, I did some work experience at a criminal law firm, and I did some work experience at a commercial law firm. And the commercial law firm was the stuff that really, the dynamism of commercial law really attracted me. That's what I want to do. That's why I'm applying to you, this firm, because I want to be a commercial lawyer. I've experienced these different types, and this is now what I want to do. So you need to be able to apply. It's very important that you apply however you can to smaller firms if you have to, like I did, smaller regional firms that are in smaller towns outside of big cities, and just send them your CV, call them up. You might have to send tens of these, and say, I'm just looking for some work experience. I just want a week's work experience, because that week will mean that you can really point to a successful answer on that question when it's posed to you on the application form. You'll be able to give a really good answer that they're looking at and saying, right, they've made a motivated choice to become a commercial lawyer. And it doesn't matter what kind of law you go into, you need to be able to answer the question that way. The point I've made in the second bullet point there is that vacation schemes help to land a training contract. That's another benefit of having previous legal work experience, because if, as part of that previous legal work experience, you've applied for a vacation scheme, if you then turn around and start applying for a training contract at that same firm, they are much more likely to accept that training contract application than they would if you've never had a vacation scheme there, because they have already vetted you, they'll already have some feedback about you, and if you've done well there, it can be a real foot in the door. So vacation schemes, or internships, they're also called internships, guys, in case I've confused anyone there, they're very important to apply to, and I would recommend that if you're looking at a big firm in London in particular, you apply for the internships or VAC schemes, because at the very end of those VAC schemes, you're very often given a training contract interview anyway. So they're great it's a great way to get your foot in the door, and I would recommend that. So they actually ask very similar questions to a training contract application anyway, the VAC scheme. So I would get on those in the next couple of months, definitely. And the third one is, and this is what this is the third element that what you absolutely must show on an application form for a training contract in London. You need to show a rounded personality with an emphasis on extracurricular activity. And when I say extracurricular activity, I mean, some people might validly ask, what kind of extracurriculars are we talking about? Well, firms are looking for positions of leadership, and relationship building, and a thoroughness in your work or hobbies. If you can show that, you'll be seen as highly likely to be a reliable and diligent worker who takes initiative and makes the most of the opportunities available to you. And that's the type of image that you want to project, which will make those firms interested in you. So in terms of finding what kind of extracurriculars you should be involved in, it almost really doesn't matter, except that if you're not involved in a society right now, or a member of a society or a sports team or something, I would recommend you join one right away, because any membership of a sports team, or the organisation behind a sports team, or volunteering and being a membership of a society that has a commercial element maybe, these are really good. But it's really about getting as much responsibility within your involvement in those societies as possible. For instance, if you're with your university law society, which a lot of you might be, that will be looked upon favourably, but it will be even better if you're one of the organisers that sit behind the law society, because that in itself will show them that you have the leadership skills and you have the organisational skills, the initiative to be a success at their firm. So if anyone listening now is not a member of a society, join one tomorrow. If you're already a member of society, try your utmost to get into a position of responsibility so that even if you haven't got that responsibility yet, you can say in your application that you have been nominated for it or something for next year, because these are the important things that you need to have on your CV and your application forms in order to be successful. And they're big ticks in the boxes for these firms. So those are the three main things in terms of what you need to show on an application that will make you stand out from the rest. High recent academic achievement is just for the recent results to cover up any bad results. You're only as good as your last result in many respects. Previous legal work experience is an absolute must, and get on that straight away and organising and arranging to have interviews at least if you haven't already, because it might take some time. And what's crucial is to show a rounded personality with positions of responsibility within societies or sports teams.